Wait, is that still in store?
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to this week's edition of NXT Heatwave post show. As always, this beautiful face is that of The Jameus. I am joined by my fantastic co-host, Throwback. Of course, I have to say he's fantastic. Gotta feed that little ego of his. And
I don't have an ego. I'm humble, bitch.
nobody who's humble says they're humble. And of
Come
course,
to Massachusetts and you'll see how much humble I can be.
well, everybody from Boston's a narcissist. And of course, today we're joined by the incomparable Body Slam news editor, or news writer. I'm the editor. And my former podcast host, Corey Brennan. How are you guys doing today?
I'm awesome after I just sent you that link. That just made my day. If anybody doesn't know, my son will be a month old on the 22nd. So yeah, if you want to send stuff, we're all good on that. He will be. Yes, the thing says diaper killer. He definitely is a diaper killer. I can't wait for this because now with this show, I'm more hyped with NXT now than just laxadays like you and me joke around, Jameis, about how it needs to get better. There's something that has to improve.
Similar stuff throughout the show.
Yeah, it needs to get better and stuff like that. And in a private chat of ours, somebody called their shot about a title change, and it didn't happen. So, if he wants to come on and defend his honor, more power to it. But it's just now I'm really. Right now? He's watching
right now. How you? I'm too much bad blood. No.
Oh, and by the way, I don't have PayPal. I don't believe in PayPal. Anyways,
PayPal is really something you believe in.
You'd be wrong once in a lifetime. But the thing about it is that now this is setting up something very, very different, something that fans in NXT, both brands, have desperately wanted. And now it seems like it's going to happen.
All right. I have no idea where Corey went, but let's fix this overlay real quick.
Hey, why not? So, are you excited now that the possibility of like war? They can long-term book this, but I can see this as a war game setup now that they're getting ready for the UK invasion, and this is a full-on UK invasion now.
So I don't know, and I've spoken about this before. This can go one of two ways, and either I love it or I hate it. Anybody who regularly listens to our show knows I like NXT UK by a lot. So if this is we're pulling the plug on NXT UK, let's unify the titles, let's put the tag title and the UK tag titles in the States and the main title in the States, and start the process of consolidating NXT. I don't like that. I don't necessarily think that's the case because while they can always replace it, those contracts don't cost much money. It's a very easy product to produce because all you have to do is rent out the studio and some cameras, and you need a certain number of hours per week of original content for the Peacock deal in the first place, and they don't have that much weekly content generated. So to meet the margins of the deal, they need content. So I don't think NXT UK has a super high probability of getting canceled, but it did worry me a little bit in this watching the show tonight. But if not, the issue with NXT UK is that it's on an island. The wrestling is great. The characters are great. The show really works. It has a really nice territorial feel. The issue with the show is that nobody watches it because it's evident WWE does not give a damn about it.
I think it's different now with Hunter running the creative and running the show. I think that now that let's be honest, the black and gold and the UK are his baby for the NXT brands.
Corey's let's flat out be that. So we'll see if he comes back. but
yeah, let's just be flat out honest about that. Like the UK and NXT, UK basically, like I said, UK NXT and regular NXT are his babies. Like literally, the whole NXT umbrella is his. Hunter running creative, it makes a huge difference. Sean running the show, but I can see like them making this like the NXT invasion on the main roster a few years ago. You have Tyler Bates going to go against Braun Breaker, Briggs and Jensen, who hold the UK tag titles, going against Gallus coming up. There's so much good talent on the other side of the over there. Hell, Fabian Eichner, who is Giovanni Da Vinci. Oh my God, that match was good.
hold on. I really wasn't done. The obviously I'm wearing a Mustache Mountain shirt. I own shirts for Nina Samuels, Mark Andrews, and a bunch of different wrestlers. So I really like NXT UK. The issue is it's on an island. You've never had a crossover other than Walter, who lost to a Claymore literally in the first move of the match he was in. So you've never positioned NXT UK in a spot that matters. This
Well,
could be
you
the first
kind of
step on
have it
doing that.
publicly. You kind of have publicly with the Walter Dragunov match that they've had on a takeover. And
You have a takeover match here and there. You had Dunn and Bate on a takeover,
yeah,
but it doesn't make it any more or less a tax write-off historically. Just because
no,
they
but
had two
it gives
matches in the
people the
States.
idea that there's another product in the product that they could actually sway, and if they could catch. That's why a lot of people, like yourself and me, like the NXT UK product, because it's a different option and the time frames are different than waiting for like Eastern time an 8 o'clock show where you
Right.
can catch this on the Peacock channel anytime after it's aired, live on there. So it makes it a lot better. The talent pool in the US is amazing, but I think, like you said, the UK brand has leaps and bounds on stories and sets up and everything else. This is going to be one fun time with them long-term story. They did it with two people tonight. Two. How often does NXT set up two possibilities for their champion to go forward against two opponents? They didn't. They set one up with a vignette in the back when they were going to commercial with Breaker and Apollo. And at the end of the show, at the end of the night, they did it with Bates and Breaker. Two stories that they could start. They have Breaker's U.S. opponent lined up when Bates has to go back over to London to work and then back.
So, and that's why it's not going to get cut. That's why it hasn't gotten cut when Nick Khan did the other budget cuts, because those guys make $500 a month. We're speculating though. That's just an approximate number BJ threw out. I don't necessarily think it's accurate.
The question is that U.S. dollars or pounds?
But it doesn't matter. They make pennies on the dollar.
Well,
as
euro.
opposed to if you replace NXT UK with a different show that's done stateside, because your Peacock deal needs a certain amount of money, hours of content.
You said U.S. dollars.
A week. It doesn't. You're going to pay more to make that show. That's why NXT UK hasn't gotten the axe during all the budget cuts, because there's no reason to cut it for the budget, because it's super cheap and it's a tax write-off that meets the demands of the multi-billion-dollar deal they're getting. So that it's kind of crucial to them, and it's cheap to make. Why would they cut it?
No, I have no problem with that statement. I'm just saying that with this going forward, it makes it more fun now as a fan, NXT fan, to see the difference.
DJ on that one.
Yeah. And the thing about it is I'm more hyped about the possibilities. How you could set this up for War Games if they do War Games in November. How you could even do it sooner after this. I am really excited because now they could do a non-title champion versus champion for bragging rights for who is the better NXT brand, the UK or the 2.0 brand.
You know, when you do that, you do it. Take Survivor Series takeover.
Yeah.
and you set up Gallus and Brooks and Jensen. So Gallus is now a player on NXT TV. Bea Priestley showed up tonight. She's now a player on NXT TV. There was a lot of NXT UK on representation on the show. I like that. It can go one of two ways, and I like and dislike both, just like those ways, respectively. So
I think that they need to bring Kaylee Ray back as Kaylee Ray and go with that set of green. The thing I really want them is to go with, they're going back with all these changes. There's more people coming in and stuff, even in NXT. And did you hear about Angel Garza, by the way? His name is now back to what it originally was. So I'm hoping they do the same thing with certain people, like keep Kaylee Ray and not Elba Fire. Keep her as Kaylee Ray, because the majority of the people who are wrestling fans know her by that name in WWE. I want this type of match
the difference
for
between
War
Kaylee
Games.
Ray
That would
and
be
Angel
awesome.
Garza is Angel Garza is not the guy's real name, is it?
No, but I'm talking about like they put his name back as that.
You're
as
missing what I'm saying here. Kaylee Ray's real name, shoot name, is Kaylee Ray. You can't license Kaylee Ray. You can license Alba Fire. They had already licensed Angel Garza. There's a difference between changing names for licensing and shortening the names, which I never understood why they shortened the names. And I think you're comparing apples and oranges here. It's not like Alexander Rusev's name changing to Rusev. It's like Finn Balor. It's like Fergal Devitt's name changing to Finn Balor.
Yeah.
Because if you use their real name before the last 4 or 5 years, like when NXT first started signing people, Prince Devitt did not go by Devitt anymore, even though he still uses Prince. Kevin Steen had to change his last name. Like all of the people who use their real names changed them for licensing purposes, and then they just didn't care about licensing NXT going forward, and then that's why a lot of the main roster changes happened. The difference is Angel Garza is already licensed, so it literally just change the text on his nameplate for his entrance, and it's a 2-second fix.
But the question I have is that isn't Kaylee Ray's name already trademarked anyways? They did the same thing with John Cena. So I mean, I believe it is because of the UK. They have to trademark stuff for the UK.
Is a lot of these wrestlers probably don't want their name trademarked either, because I don't know if you've ever heard, and I may be way off. I've heard people like John Cena have to pay Vince McMahon whenever his name gets written down in movies. That's why Disney didn't market Sasha Banks. They marketed Mercedes Bernardo, so they didn't have to pay WWE a cut of her paycheck.
Pretty much, yeah.
So
you're right on that.
If wrestlers have any want to expand and outside of WWE, why would you want your real name trademarked? Certain people have been able to buy the trademark from Vince. Cody Rhodes, Chris Jericho, The Rock. I think Jericho and The Rock, were gifted the names. Cody bought his.
AJ was part of his contract.
Right. So, same Samoa Joe was the same deal with AJ. So, in a world where licensing is such a massive deal, that has a lot to do with the names you see on television. And there's a lot more that goes into using a real name versus using a kayfabe name you've already used. Does that make sense?
Well, yeah. Well, speaking of name changes, what did you think about the Carmelo Hayes, Da Vinci match? Fabian.
That was a really fun match. I really liked the finish. I like that it was an inconclusive finish, that Carmelo Hayes used his momentum against him into a kind of a roll-up, even though it was a Hurricane Rana. Instead of beating him definitively, you can revisit it. Fabian Giovanni Vinci had control for the duration of the finish. So he looked strong in defeat, but it wasn't a dirty finish. And I think that was the best middle ground you could find.
What did you think about that botch? I think it looked like a botch to me, or miscommunication, where Hayes was going for just to get down the low end of it. He jumped off to get down on the low, and Vinci literally tried to get the leapfrog up, and they collided. That kind of looked like a mess up, and
if
they
it was
picked
a
it
mess
up
up,
from there.
they played it off well, which sometimes that makes the matches better for me as long as you don't hurt your opponent.
Yeah.
If you botch and you don't play it off well, it kills the match. But if you botch and you play it off well, it can actually sometimes
it made the match a lot better. I just say, sorry, daddy problems. Sorry about that, daddy problems. Lack of sleep. The thing about it is, for me though, I noticed that and I was like, okay, so where is this going to end up? And the match ended up really good. And you're right,
Yes.
Trick Williams intervening on this and made it a lot easier to understand how they're going to push it to the next one. Do you think he's going to drop it at the next, premium live event, as they call it now, or just to set up something? Because I think if they do it right, because this is their August specialty show, we should get something before another specialty show, and then a takeover show like they did. Like
that Boston takeover every week.
I want it. I hate to quote him, but it's true. Feed me more. Feed me freaking takeovers, dude. Yeah, I am deprived of having a takeover.
You're deprived of a lot of things if you're quoting Ryback on a podcast.
I can't give you the other finger right now. We're live. Hey, we're having fun here. Me and him are really, we talk a lot, so it's like we just basically joke around. So hopefully nobody takes offense to it.
So from here, Diamond Mine cut a promo. Felt like fluff. Didn't really do much.
All of this promo did.
The Creed's probably. Oh no! Before we leave, Carmelo Hayes. I had this issue in the street fight too. Are they censoring fans? Chance?
Yes, they are.
Nothing takes me out of the match more than sound, no sound, sound, no sound, sound, no sound. It's wrestling. People who are watching can hear the word shit.
Yeah. It's a natural thing we do as human beings.
Don't do silly things. It's a trivial thing to get upset on.
For a company that said they want to be
out of the match because it purposely distracts me.
For a company that's supposed to be TV-14, obviously with the TV-14 now going around and about, they are censoring a word shit
that they have performers say on air sometimes.
Yeah, I mean, especially since and you could hear like, let's go Hayes, 2-second pause, let's go, Vinci, 2-second pause. It literally, it's like, let it just go, let it have fun. You're live. If
that's my biggest issue so far of any of the Triple H shows, is that's the first time it felt unorganic.
It felt more like it was PG instead of the actual rating they're now going.
They don't even always do that when it's PG.
No, but I get it. But if you're going to censor certain things like that, I mean, why are you allowing people in the building to begin with? I mean,
right.
A good example, like this promo with Diamond Mine and them going at it. We saw a glimpse of that stuff with freaking everything that happened with Apollo last week with that whole eye thing, where it's just like, that's so Raven kind of thing. And then all of a sudden the following week they play that out.
You really referencing that.
I'm just pointing out the truth. I mean, it's the same camera thing. It goes like, whoosh, whoosh. I mean, it's like I hate to say this because I am epileptic, but it's like having a strobe light in front of your face doing the EEG and your hardwired computer. Yes, that was me today.
How'd that go?
Oh, God, I got to tell you stuff. Anyways.
Not the time, not right now.
Yeah. We'll do it towards the tail end. People listen to it. But it's just you're doing that kind of thing. And now you're paying it off a week later just because of the fact that you had to set something up for Gallus, and I understand you're doing promos afterwards and vignettes of Breaker and Apollo, which I
just wanna
pointed out that
say,
probably
Gallus has one of the catchiest themes in wrestling.
I'm gonna pop that on and listen to it because I couldn't hear it after having like we can't do anything because of copyright. So
You're right. I was considering playing it, and then I remembered that's copyright's the whole reason I'm canceling one of my own podcasts.
but
I don't know if you heard the second episode of NXT got copyright strike before it aired.
oh boy.
And then Cass was like, "You want to continue the show?" I'm like, "I love the show. I don't want to have to cut out 10 segments every week. So no." Especially since the show took me 20. It takes me 20 hours to do it one episode. Like I'm not putting that much time in just to butcher it later because I'm dumb enough to keep getting copyrighted. Plus, it's very selfish of me to not cancel a show after multiple copyright strikes when we have multiple people who rely on our YouTube channel to create content. So
yeah,
that was the main factor in me deciding to pull it. Was
well for
didn't
me
want to
here.
screw anybody else over.
Oh yeah, that makes perfect sense. But for here, like these things that they're trying to set up, like I said, Apollo and Breaker, they've been doing long-term hints here and there. I mean, next thing you know, oh yeah, we did have something like that. We got a scan code on here too. I mean, some of the stuff that they did in the show, it scratches your head. Some of the other stuff, but the matches where the meat and potatoes, so to speak.
From there, Cora Jade defeated Roxy.
What do you think about the finish on that, where he basically did the?
I didn't like it.
I thought it was weird that they were using like they called
My
the
question
shock
is,
DDT
if it's a DQ when she hits her, why is it not a DQ when she intentionally drops her on it?
I know that, right? I was like,
that was my
that
issue. That would have been a really good finish if it wasn't as illogical as it was.
There was a lot of those today. Like there's some parts in these matches where it was like a near pinfall, but it didn't make any sense because that it got broken off because the ref got like. There was one of them happened in the Hayes Vinci match too. Is like there was a near fall, and that should have been with Trick Williams should have been a DQ after the whole powerbomb thing. So I mean, it just seems like these refs let them go today and just let them not care. I thought the Cora Jade Roxy match was decent. I didn't think it was just like off the wall. Oh my god! I mean,
I think it's evident how farther along in development Roxy is versus Elena Black.
Yeah.
Excuse me, Cora Jade.
But
which isn't a knock on Cora Jade. It's more so a praise of Roxanne Perez.
And the thing I want to point out, this show also, if you're not, I'm going to compare this a little bit, and I'll get yelled at for this, is that this was kind of like how SummerSlam started and ended. You had a really great match in the beginning and a really good match at the end, and then everything else was just you had to make your way through to see what was good and what was not. That's how it felt mostly like how SummerSlam was. But I mean, this was a decent match. I mean, the ending should have been a DQ, and you could have carried it on a little bit, but it didn't really make any sense. It's like, okay, so you finished her with a DDT on a kendo, and why didn't the match get thrown out?
The ref just throws his hands up like this, literally, when she hits the DDT. He does this. Like, your job is to know what to do. How do you not know?
Yeah, exactly.
That was my issue with that match, because the match was fine. From there, Tony D'Angelo and Santos Escobar had one hell of a match.
Yeah, they're like literally, I think I called it. I said, if this is how you and me called this match,
I've been calling Santos call up for months, but I was convinced he was going to win. He was going to lose after A, they created the stipulation, but B, he was at the Mania press conference thing this week. He was the only NXT superstar there. The superstars there were Seth Rollins, Becky Lynch, Bianca Belair, Santos Escobar, and like one or two other people. But
They had
Santos
a match
being there,
during that whole thing too.
yeah, like Santos being there really threw me for a loop. Because he wasn't on the main roster, or at least he's not yet. So it's one of those things where it was just like, huh. Obviously, with him being there with Becky Lynch, who's the biggest star in wrestling, Seth Rollins, who's in that conversation, Triple H likes him enough to put him at forefront in front of the press for the biggest event of the year. He wouldn't do that if he didn't have tentative plans to put him on the show. So
He'll end up on SmackDown.
A
I won't be
call-up seemed
surprised.
imminent to me.
Yeah, but
when I
didn't we
saw
call
that.
this as a show? Didn't we call this like month and a half ago?
Yeah.
That it just felt like he was getting. They already have him squared up to go up, and then these changes happen in the company, and now it's like, okay, well, you know, we both said
Now
it
you're
last
not
week that
worried
he's going
about
up.
how he's going to be used because WWE signs King Cuerno. Okay, he's going to ruin NXT, which he did, but Vince probably wouldn't know what to do with him. But Vince isn't there anymore. He can continue to be awesome.
Yeah, I know. It's going to be interesting to see what they do with them. I would love to see him and Ray tag. That would be awesome considering what happened in the past. But
Ray, as in Rey Mysterio, right?
Yeah.
Did they ever work together on Lucha Underground?
I don't know. I know that Dominic had a match on NXT.
Because I know they worked together, and I don't know. They worked together. They definitely worked together in AAA because I remember when Ray was on that run, he had a match where he teamed with Dr. Wagner and faced El Hijo del Fantasma with Brian Cage. And then he would team with like a bunch of different people and work with El Hijo a lot. Like he did a match with Psycho Clown, he did a match with Angelico. But they never teamed together, they always teamed against each other.
Yeah. It'd be interesting to see like them on like a main roster to do something and win the belts or something like that.
No, for me, you make him whoever you have beat Lashley, you have lose to Santos Escobar. I hate the idea of two Latin American guys. Oh yeah, let's just force them in a tag team because they're two Latin Americans. I think that's ridiculous. I think it's antiquated. I think it's not doesn't make for a good story.
Well, I was just saying just because of styles, not because of what nationalities and stuff like that. Just to see how great it would be to mesh.
Come across.
Yeah, but now that you put it in a different way, it'd be
forced.
Yeah, now that you put it this way, I think it'd be also fun to see. Like he can't be in NXT, but it doesn't state he can't be in the NXT UK. But with the main roster thing, I would love to see him on SmackDown and going against like you got Ricochet up there, up that way, and stuff like that. Just be cool to see him.
U.S. champion. You can always get to those matches with different people later because you always have drafts to move people across shows. I think
that's true.
I think Raw would be my landing spot. I'd have whoever have beat Lashley. I'd have Lashley lose at the next Premium Live event to whoever, and then I'd have Santos as a babyface win the belt from whichever heel beats Lashley, and have a nice little run with the belt. I think Santos definitely fits Triple H's vision for how they're trying to redo the mid-card championships. Of course, the Tope Suicida spot in this match. Ooh.
Yeah, the whole match was awesome. It was
this
pretty
match
sick.
Went hard, went really well. After the match, Santos must leave NXT UK. After the match, we have Indy Hartwell backstage, who Blair Davenport shows up. So that's interesting.
Oh, and you didn't notice the tidbit in the whole thing that she got a letter, and the back of the letter says Index
Dexter,
lives.
yeah. It had the back of Dexter's body on it too.
Yeah. So I won't be shocked because Dexter being in there that they bring Indy up just because with Dexter to pair them together again.
Indy's character was sacrificed once Dexter was cut.
And I think with her though, I think it would be more so like part-time wrestler, part full-time manager kind of thing where she could talk and Dexter doesn't have to, like they were doing in NXT.
Yeah, because Dexter without a mouthpiece is extremely one-dimensional.
So Indy would be the perfect fit about it.
From there, we have
fired. He had to go all over the place and wrestle all.
Didn't mean to play that. I just pulled up WON's results as a refresher on the side because I don't keep track of the results. From there, we're down to the last two matches anyway, so I can do it up and right now.
Yeah, and what do you think of that? What do you think about? What do you think about the match they announced for the no light match with Tiffany Stratton and Wendy Chu? I want to see how that's going to play out, how they actually are going to do that, if there's night vision involved.
You see this finger on my left hand? You see this thumb on my left hand?
And that's how cynical we are about certain things they do.
Specifically Wendy Chu. I don't like the character. I've not liked the character from day one. I'm ready for the character to go. I like the performer behind the character. I don't like the character itself.
You never know. It might up on the main roster at some point. I just killed the flow.
Very well. The next match on the card, Zoe Stark versus Mandy Rose.
The finish was interesting because she used Zoe's own knee brace in order to win. And if you're going to have the person kicked out of your finisher one time and then you have to use a weapon attached to your finisher, doesn't that negate like how good it's supposed to be originally?
I actually like the finish because it's not a foreign object if the object's approved to be in the match. So it gives Mandy an avenue to cheat without technically cheating.
I understand that, but I'm saying, doesn't it diminish the win a little bit, knowing that you can't do it? It's clean, but it's not fully clean in a lot of people's eyes.
That's the point. And I don't think it was supposed to be clean. Mandy Rose's character doesn't care about winning clean or having strong wins. She cares about keeping the championship through any means necessary.
Yeah, pretty much.
So,
but it was a really good match.
Why do you care? That was a fun match. I don't think Mandy Rose is nearly as bad bell to bell as people say she is.
I think it's just, like certain things going on in WWE if there's some of their champions. It's just she's had it for so long, just like Roman has, just like Usos have on some of these titles. Over time, it just gets really stale.
The bloodline needs to end.
Like it gets really stale over time. So I mean, if they pull something out, Roxy still has that contract.
I think Nikita Lyons is probably going to be the one to beat her. I think they do it at the next show. But I've been saying Mandy's going to lose for months now. So
you said it on every single person that they've put in front of her.
Literally every single show you and I have done together. I'm like, yeah, Mandy's going to lose soon. Go to the main roster. Every single time. So I'm just going to stop giving people exhibits on how to place your foot directly into your mouth, and I'm just going to shut up.
Well, I'll give you credit, though, is that you did say that they were going to lose the tag titles, and they did. But it's just...
I thought it would coincide with Mandy losing the main belt.
But still, like, you got it technically right, so we'll give you that with that. But it's just, if you're going to have the champion that's had it for so long, who is credible enough to go after that Roxy's going with Cora right now, but she's still, and a lot of people forget is that she still has that contract for a match,
Right. 'cause
and
she
it
never used
hasn't been used yet. So it's like, are you gonna pull the trigger on Roxy beating her and then having Nikita go after Roxy, or you're gonna have something else going on? Because the only other person that could be a heel, but is not even close to being ready, is Lash Legend, and there's gotta be, and they're dipping into the UK pool now on
If you're
both
dipping
sides.
in the UK pool, you know what NXT needs, Patrick?
Jane,
More Nina.
I was thinking Jane, like, Walter's Jane.
Yeah,
His
but
girl.
NXT UK needs more Nina. Well, so does main NXT, but they're not doing anything with her on NXT UK. So I'm not holding my breath. I'm just a big Nina Samuels fan. Shout out to Nina Samuels. Keep killing it. So B Priestley seems like a decent person to be the next champion if they decide to go that route. From there, the main event of the evening. Braun Breaker versus Jordan Devlin.
Oh,
This was interesting.
this was fun.
Definitely the most fun Braun Breaker match so far.
3 spears, Devlin freaking bleeding out of his mouth, just sitting there sadistically and just literally keeps going
like?
on there.
The Devlin popping up in the camera shot. You know what that felt like?
It felt like
a New Japan match.
No, you know what it felt like for me, and I'll say this just to go old with the whole thing. It was Brock and Taker and both popping up at each other and just starts laughing at each other. After him bleeding up, they look at each other. It had that feeling like they both was just like ready to go, but they had that sadistic look on each other's faces. I enjoyed this match very much because how physical, how quick it was, and how like technically sound it was. Like, they, even though he's Jordan Devlin, JD McDonough, literally as who his incarnation is now, it was very technical, did all what he said he was going to do, and it carried on to the next one. I wouldn't be shocked after Bates we see another JD match with either Bates or Breaker, or all 3 of them in the same spot.
Yeah. So Braun Breaker wins, and after the match, he's confronted by Tyler Bate. Now, here's where they misplayed their cards a little bit. You know what hasn't aired yet? The final.
I was like, wait a minute, I was like, why is he there when it's still being aired? It hasn't been on there yet.
In canon is not champion yet because it's on tape delay. But on NXT TV, he has the title.
Yeah. Spoiler.
They really misplayed that.
If you're watching,
nobody watches NXT UK anyway, for the most part, as much as I love it.
But if you're watching this and you like the UK product, spoiler alert.
Right.
It's like knowing. Let's just say this much: the way this show ended was like Rogue One from Star Wars. You knew what was going to happen at the end of the movie because none of them make it in at the beginning of New Hope on episode 4 of Star Wars. They in the first one, they don't make it. You already know the ending of the movie. It's just like it's the same thing.
It's a ride they take you on to get to the end of the movie.
Yeah, but the point is that the tournament's still being aired and the finals hasn't been. But you already showed your champion. So it's like if you're watching in the UK on their sports network and you're watching the UK show, the NXT UK show, and you get to watch the NXT show from the States that gets aired maybe a week before this gets aired, you already know what happens. How stupid can you be? Like, Come on.
Like, the idea of Tyler Bate and Braun Breaker on main NXT is sound. I like where they're heading with it. It just felt miscalculated.
I want to see the full-on UK invasion, and I think that's why Sean was putting bits and pieces of all this together. That's why Brooks and Jensen have the UK titles to bring more credible UK talent in there to go against them to get that belt back on their side. You've got really good talent that's pushing over their way. I want to see like an NXT UK talent having the North American Championship and defending it over there, and you have to force some of the people over here to go there to get it back. It's like, brand warfare, but actually using your goddamn brand to actually have a war between them instead of being like, oh, it's all a ratings thing. No, these guys are going to be very competitive in there, even though it's a developmental thing. There's pride on the line, there's country on the line, and there's brand pride on the line. So that's why I think this is important. If you have Bates and Breaker on there, you just basically set up your next huge match that people want to see. And it's not because of who are the talent right now. It's because people, when Walter had the title belt and let's say Keith Lee had it, right? They always thought, what would it be like for Lee and Walter to be in the same ring defending both of their titles, the UK and the NXT titles, and facing each other for pride, for brand pride and supremacy and bragging rights. Just to say our brand's better than yours, and yet you guys get more views than we do.
I don't really care about brand nationalism. It just doesn't do much for me. In recent years, we have the draft right before Survivor Series. So why are they fighting when they're just on the other team?
Yeah, but it's also because it's pride. As you as a person of pride, you go to your work and you want to be the best, better than everybody else.
Look,
that sounds like Pokemon theme.
If you work a 9-to-5 job, and you have, I'm there to make money and leave. I'm not there to go, oh yeah, I'm doing this. I'm there to make my money, to enjoy my life. It's like, I don't understand this workplace pride thing. I think that's the biggest piece of corporate propaganda capitalism ever gave us.
I'm just saying, as a human being, pride is pride, man.
Yeah, pride is pride, but I don't know. Maybe it just doesn't resonate with me.
We'll see, but this is really interesting, and I'm excited for it. For the first time when they pull this trigger for this match, I think it's going to probably be more eyes glued to it all around. Bates can go. Breaker, he's stale at most, and he's literally like Goldberg, but you put push comes to shove. You have two really good guys that can put the stone to the...
Breaker's very intense.
Yeah, put the grindstone to the bottom.
With an opponent that's seasoned enough, you can pull a really good match out of him. Because he's explosive. You just can't put him in. You just can't miscalculate his opponent.
Yeah, pretty much. Like I said, it's just a younger version of Goldberg. Trust me on this.
He's better than Bill Goldberg ever was. First off.
No, but I'm saying he's a younger version, like a better younger version.
Yeah, the show tonight was really fun. The wrestling, as expected, was really good. I liked that there's an evident direction. Like, NXT UK is on main NXT going forward, ostensibly speaking. Like, okay, I didn't expect that, but apparently it's the thing. So I like that there's something you can tangibly grasp onto and latch onto with the show going forward.
I honestly,
it feels less of an island.
And I hate to say this, but to me, next week just feels like this is a high point, and we're gonna get down to a low and just sit there for a little bit.
You can't have highs without lows.
No, that's a point. But it's just, it feels like this next week is setting up after having a really good show to like drop a little bit. I'm hoping I'm wrong. I pray to God I'm wrong. And considering now that we'll be doing this on Wednesdays after starting next week.
Sorry, folks.
But it's just
Blame me
I'm
for that.
hoping. No, don't blame anybody. It's the way it is.
Blame me for it. It's my schedule conflict.
Don't worry about it. But it's just I'm hoping that things that they start setting up get better. I hope they tease this a little bit with Apollo and just make Donna and stuff like that. It would be interesting to see if they could push the needle a little bit, but it looks like they're leading against Apollo versus Breaker at some point real soon, and then Bates versus Breaker. And the way the North American Championship match, we'll get another Vinci and Hayes match, and then hopefully we'll get a Hayes Breaker match eventually. And
In
that's
Boston,
how the
the home of Kristen Casanova.
yeah, I'm calling my shot. Give me a break.
Every week, you gotta mention it.
Hey,
For those who
if I
don't
could
know,
get-
Kristen Casanova was Carmelo Hayes' name on the Massachusetts independent scene.
Yeah, and freaking chaotic wrestling. And by the way, there's a litany of people that came through chaotic. Let's just leave it at that.
There's a litany of people that came through that upper northern seaboard scene.
Pretty much real good ones too.
Yeah, that scene for a while that was popping. It's still popping now. The Limitless show the other week was really good. Which, by the way, you can hear all of my thoughts on that on the TWM Talks Indies. Did I tell you what that show did the other week?
No.
That show did a 1.2K on the
Damn.
original stream. Like just the original stream alone.
Damn.
Yeah, so if you're not watching us every other Monday on Ash Nova's Twitch, you're missing out because it's a happening.
I gotta catch that too.
I'll send it to you.
I've been watching Chaotic too.
Yeah, I'll send you the show.
I've been watching
Since I
Chaotic
started
on
the plug,
Twitch. So.
Do you have anything else to say before we get into plugs?
I love being hardwired to a computer. That was interesting. I supposed to have an EEG every 5 years, and literally, they put all these electrodes on top of your head and stuff, and they put a strobe light in your face. At that one point, I was just like, when the lights was flashing, I'm like, I just have to get through this.
Was when I was like 9-10 years old. From my head down to my toes, my entire body had to be covered in those.
Yeah,
and the whole thing, whatever I did that day, I don't remember most of it because I was like 9. But and all of my medical stuff just kind of mixes together in my mind because there's a lot to unpack there. But that was a like 3 or 4 hour process too, like of the entire of me having to have them on for the testing and stuff. Not fun.
Yeah.
Those things are a pain in the ass to take off.
The lady did it pretty nicely. She put pieces of paper on there and stuff in between. But it's an interesting thing, but it's just that light. Literally, I was trying to just get through that flashing light, and I was fine after a while. It's just I don't like having people, cringe and watch and when I talk about this stuff because putting a light that's this close to your face and actually just flashing it as quick as possible. The whole EEG process too. I noticed like when I was having it again, some of my muscle just spasmed out of nowhere when I was completely relaxed and stuff. It was just like electric pulse going through my head because of everything. It's just it's worse when you do a sleep deprive. You have to be up for 24 hours, no caffeine, all that stuff.
Deprivation.
So, well, for me, I need it for the most part, but it's kind of hard now. But I mean, when I had to do those, they weren't fun because then I would be out for like 8 or 9 hours right afterwards. So everybody's like, "This is an NXT post show. Why are we talking medical?" This ain't ER, man.
There's really not very many good medical shows. And where can the good folks find you, Patrick?
Every Thursday night, Wicked Crazy Pinfalls, we do a show with a cast of characters that have fun. You might see my homie here, Jameis, on periodically. We got lucky. We got a really good guy that me and Jameis actually care about a lot and think high of. I had Tom Tuck's Rubbish 2 weeks in a row. We taped one while I was at the hospital. Go check that out. And then we had him on last week. This week, we're probably going to end up doing something. This week, we already have a show in the can that's going to be released. It's going to be me and Drew Nicholas talking about cars, not wrestling, cars. Like cars, as they say here, cars. We're going to just talk about car maintenance, our favorite cars, all that stuff. That'll be airing on Thursday. And then I'm back here Tuesday night with my homie here, just chilling and just talking about NXT. You might see me pop up on certain places. Go check out the Roundtable podcast. They're killing it right now. I was on Love Wrestling a couple of weeks ago on their Sunday brunch. Go check that stuff out. You never know what I'll pop in. Parrish. Oh, Parrish is awesome, dude. Other than that, I'll be sitting back here, taking care of my family and just enjoying life being a dad right now.
And for this questionable face, you can find me, editor at bodyslam.net. Be sure to read all of our new stuff. Brady, Corey, who should have been on the show tonight, but technical difficulties. Do a terrific job with the news. Rami's doing a great job with our MMA news. Of course, our podcasting is great. I produce some of our podcasts, like the Code of Honor podcast, every Monday at 3. No episode this week, but there will be one next week. Kyle does great work. And then a lot of great podcasts on our YouTube channel, Indeed, Tea and Tights. Currently, this is my only show right now, other than hopping on whichever shows need somebody to fill in that week. But I have more stuff coming soon, so be on the lookout for that. Follow me on Twitter for updates on that. And every other Monday at 8, you can find me talking all things independent wrestling, which is much more interesting than NXT. This week, I ranted a lot. But the show did good numbers, so maybe I should rant some more.
Why not? That's the way we do here anyways.
Ladies and gentlemen, I am the Jameis as always, and Big Daddy Throwback has a small phrase he likes to leave you with. Hit it.
Do a good deed, pay it forward, be kind to everybody, do something that makes a positive outlook and does something that impacts another part of life. Just like me being a dad. I love you, Brody.
Shout out to Brody. Call me Maynard Keenan because I'm a tool.
Yeah, ain't gonna do any of that sorts.
I've had a I don't know if you know who Maynard Keenan is. He's the front man of the band Tool.
Yeah, I know what Tool
is. And
a
perfect circle, but nobody likes a perfect circle. But Tools.
The one song that they did have at Perfect Circle was really good.
Perfect Circle is very radio formulaic. We don't like them.
Yeah.
But I've had a very long day. Arduous, stressful, many adjectives to describe my day. I completely forgot to plug BodySlam socials. BodySlam.net on Twitter, Twitch. Be sure to like and subscribe on this YouTube channel, this YouTube video too. Support our boys. Slam Chats, Pro Wrestling Tees if you want to continue to support content creators like this.
Yeah, and also comment, like, and subscribe on this thing right here for us. And on top of that, go over to youtube.com, Throwback27, comment and subscribe all the shows there too, and subscribe to the Twitch. It's basically the same handle right here. Support all of us. We do try to get you guys the best quality work that we can give you and have fun doing it. I mean, we do have a champion, a community champion that needs a challenger, and he definitely wants to go against somebody. I mean, wink, wink, nudge, nudge, Drew Nicholas. So, if anybody in the community wants to go after that champion for the Wicked Crazy Pinfalls Community Podcasting Championship, which means all over podcasting, just hit me up, let me know. There's anybody that wants to go get a shot at it is more welcome to.
Ladies and gentlemen, have a wonderful evening. or night, I guess.